Hello everyone, I'm Jessica. Today our group will talk about this exciting topic, which is more popular, Japan or South Korea. In our research, you will find out which country is more popular than the other among Lishan Junior High School students. Well, we know that Japan and South Korea are neighbors, and these countries share lots of similarities. However, are they really the same? No, they are not completely the same. We'll talk about their similarities and differences later. About our motivation, K-pop and J-pop are very popular among the students. This is the main reason that we want to know more about these two countries. These are our research questions. The slide is about the definition of our research. Now, I'm gonna talk about the literature review. You will know more about the similarities and difference between these two countries, Japan and South Korea.
Hello everyone, I'm Catherine, and I'm going to talk about the similarities and differences between these two countries. I'll start from the similarities. As you can see, their food culture is similar. They both use chopsticks during breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They eat the same staple food, rice. And most importantly, they eat quietly. It is their part of traditional food culture. About their work attitudes, Koreans and Japanese people are very hardworking. It is normal for them to work 6 days a week without getting paid extra. In addition, they both have this bowing habit. In both Korea and Japan, when you meet someone new, you bow to them. The higher their social standing, the greater the angle of the bow. About their education, students in Korea and Japan typically have longer school hours than American students, and they put less emphasis on sports. Alright, that's enough of the similarities. Let's take a look at the differences. First, the climate is so different. The climate in Japan is monsoonal because of the surrounding ocean and the neighboring Asian landmass. The Korea temperature difference is large. They have cold, dry winters and hot, humid summers. Second, about arts. Japanese arts contains painting, calligraphy, architecture, and pottery. In the past, Korea had traveling troupes that performed shadow or puppet plays, did acrobatics, danced, and sang. Today, these performances are performed by villagers in some of the provinces. Third, about the quality of the products. The way Japanese do things is down to earth. For example, Japan creates high-quality cars. Korea also has good cars, which are more stylish, but they are not as reliable as a Japanese car. Fourth, their religion is so different. In Japan, more than half of the population believe in Shinto, which is also a Japanese native religion. But in South Korea, Christianity is a major religion.
Although Korean and Japanese are two different languages, they do share some similarities. First, Korean and Japanese both utilize polite and impolite speech in their languages. For example, when you speak to elders or meeting someone new, you should always use polite speech. Second, their grammar is also really similar. While English uses the structure subject, verb, object, Korean and Japanese utilize the structure subject, object, verb. So the sentence I go home would be I home go in Korean or Japanese.
Hi, I'm Vivi. I'll show you the differences. First, they have different writing systems. Korean is written in Hangul, a phonetic writing system that consists of 24 letters, 14 consonants, and 10 vowels. Japanese consists of 3 writing systems: hiragana, katakana, and kanji Chinese characters. Second, Japanese and Korean differ greatly in pronunciation. Just by listening to the two languages, you can tell that they sound very different. It was only in the 1990s that modern K-pop began to develop under the influence of rap, rock, and techno. The history of J-pop has reintroduced several musical instruments, previously used only to play classical music, just as jazz did. J-pop, eventually in animation, is very popular because of its ritmes and its culture. Japanese classical music popular in animation, commercials, movies, and video games. K-pop currently covers pop, rock, jazz, K-pop, R&B, country, and their traditional roots. There are many artists in Japan and Korea. All of them are fantastic. By the way, Japanese pop groups aren't more famous than solo singers because songs of the solo singers were used for opening or ending scenes of Japanese animation. However, Korean pop groups are more famous than solo singers because members of pop groups have their own individual talents to draw the audience attention. First, we searched for information about Japan and Korea. We made a questionnaire and asked our classmates to fill them out. Then we collected them and analyzed the data, making the conclusion of this research. Alright, according to the first research question, do you prefer Japanese or Korean culture more? In the research, we found out that 81.8% of the students prefer Japanese culture more than Korean culture in our research.
Hello, I'm Anne. According to our second research question, which language is spoken more, Japanese or Korean? There are 86.4% of the students who think that Japanese is spoken more than Korean. Only 13.6% of the students think that Korean is spoken more than Japanese. As you can see, 72.7% of the students thought that K-pop singers and pop groups are more popular than J-pop. And about 27.3% of the students believe that K-pop singers and pop groups are more popular than those of K-pop. Conclusions. Our first conclusion is that most of the students prefer Japanese culture because they think that Japanese culture is relatively similar to the culture of Taiwan, and Taiwan once was colonized by Japan. So for lots of people, Japanese culture is more familiar to most of the Taiwanese people. Second, most of the 8th graders think that Japanese is spoken by more people than Korean. We think the main reason for this is that Japanese has a larger economy and a population of 127 million people speaking the Japanese language. However, the combined population of North and South Korea totals about 75 million people, which is less than Japan. Third, most of the students think that K-pop is more popular than J-pop because the music industry in Japan isn't targeted to an international audience. It was specifically catered to Japanese people. Another reason that K-pop is more popular is due to multiple reasons, including reinvention, struggling economies, approachability, and international investment. Next, Korean group singers are the most popular. In Korea, K-pop is known as groups. There are solo artists in Korea, but they don't make it as far because they are less popular. The demand for K-pop is a lot higher than the demand for solo artists in Korea, mostly for the fan girls and just off the overall support that they get from foreign countries. These are our sentiments. In this part, my team members all had learned something from doing this research. Catherine said, after doing this special report, I feel that I have learned a lot. Making the questionnaire, organizing the data, and analyzing the data. And having group discussions gives me lots of meaningful experiences. Besides, Jessica adds, I've also learned many skills about doing a project with others. Phoebe also learned how to make a video by using Canva. Last but not least, I'm Anne. I think the most valuable lesson is that I know more about working with others as a team. References. These are the references of our research. Thank you.